All right, morning show with Anthony here on 92.9 and 96.9 EHM. Coming up Father's Day, on Father's Day over at the West Hampton Beach Performing Arts Center. I am really excited for this event. Daniel Rudy Ruettiger, the man who the film Rudy is based on, is going to be at the West Hampton Beach Performing Arts Center on his motivational speaking tour, and he joins us on the phone right now. Daniel, how are you, my friend?
Good, and you don't have a problem calling me Rudy, because my mother called me Daniel, and that meant I was in I have problems. So Rudy is friendly. That, I think my mother's the only one who called me that.
All right, well, I don't want to take your mom's spot,
cool.
So I'll go with Rudy for sure.
Right. Okay. Right. And by the way, all our brothers were called Rudies because they couldn't remember our name because I'm one of 14. So there you go. So everybody's a Rudy people. Gotcha.
So when you're around and somebody yells out Rudy, 14 people turn around? Is that what happens?
Yeah, boy, yeah, exactly. They all claim they're Rudy. That's okay. There's a Rudy in all of us, kind of.
All right. Now, usually I do pretty extensive research when I do interviews,
okay.
Rudy.
Okay.
I did zero research for this because I'm obsessed with this film. I've watched it 4,000 times. I usually don't like to ask the typical questions, but I'm going to have to ask you some of the typical questions because I'm so curious.
No problem. I don't have a problem with that. And we just came out with our documentary, which you could watch on Amazon Prime, called Ruettiger the Walk-On, which will give you a lot of information that's kind of missing in the movie. So that will help.
Oh, that is awesome. So that's on Amazon Prime?
Amazon Prime, Ruettiger the Walk-On.
All right, we'll tell everybody to check that out. That's awesome.
And our Broadway show will be on Amazon too. We just came off of Broadway. They filmed it and they're putting that on Amazon as well. So we're excited about that.
Oh, that's awesome. All right, so there's plenty to consume, and of course, seeing you live here on Sunday, the 16th, is going to be good too. All right, so give me the process behind. Obviously, you went through, you lived the life. For how long from when you finished college till when they started this idea of it'll be a book, it'll be a movie?
Oh, great question. I finished college in 76. In 1982, I kept seeing the movie Rocky, Field of Dreams, and Hoosiers, those type of movies. And something came to started giving a nutrition on a thought that was given to me in the locker room at Notre Dame by a sports writer. That after the game I was carried off, and why would they carry him off? Just a certain number of kids would carry this player off. Why? And that's never happened at Notre Dame. So he came up to me in the locker and said, look, I've been covering Notre Dame football for 30 years. I've never witnessed this. And no one knew who you were. You don't have a name on your jersey, but they're chanting Rudy. How does this happen? And who are you? And I said, well, basically, I'm a nobody. I'm just an ordinary guy that fulfilled a dream for my father. And that's how I left it. He said, hey, this stuff only happens in Hollywood. And that's the thought that stayed with me. I saw Rocky, the message, and Hoosiers and Field of Dreams, just messages in those movies that initiated me to go to Hollywood in 1982 to put this message together and the journey that I had at Notre Dame. The first guy I ever talked to about it was a gentleman I would watch on TV called Body by Jake. And he happened to be in the restaurant I was at, and he was the first guy I actually told the story to in Hollywood, and he liked the story. He said, this has value. So that kept me going. From that positive thought, 10 years later, I get the movie done through relationships I've had in Hollywood and in California by going through the process of failing many, many times in California. And I finally got the opportunity to talk to the writer through a gentleman in South Bend that was a hotel manager whose brother was in charge of Hoosiers, who was part of the movie team that did the movie Hoosiers, and he introduced me to the writer of Hoosiers, and I went out to Santa Monica, California, to go meet him. He basically didn't show up, so my insurance, because I sold insurance, intuition told me to go find the guy, So I went out to the streets in Santa Monica and built a little bit of relationship with a mailman. Actually took me to the writer's house because he liked the story. And he said, you should talk to him. I'm going to help you out. So he helped me because we all need breaks in life. We need people to help us every now and then, and that's what happened. By knocking on that door wasn't the answer right away, but it was the answer later on. Let me explain that. He was not interested in doing another sports movie, and he surely wasn't interested in doing a Notre Dame movie because he hated Notre Dame, and he wanted to change genres. He basically told me that up front, but he said, I did have a good story, but I kind of hung on to that. 2 years later, I get a phone call from him because there was a kid from Cornell University who graduated and ended up at Orion Pictures as an executive who was working on the movie Hoosiers, but another gentleman by the name of Mike Mendelboy. And they left Orion. They go over to Columbia Pictures and TriStar Pictures. Ends up with a 2-picture deal with Columbia Pictures. His first movie he chose was So I Married Axberger, and he needed another movie. He liked a sports movie. So those guys in from Hoosiers to see if they had an idea for a sports movie. Now, this is how valuable the knock on the door was. If I didn't knock on that guy, Angelo Pizzo's door, they would never told him the story of the journey that I had at Notre Dame. Frank Price, who blessed it, who was the president of Columbia Pictures, once he blessed it, a month later, he leaves Columbia. A new president comes in by the name of Mark Hanton, and he didn't like the script. So he kind of put it to the side. So Rob took the script, took it right over to Mike Mendelboy at TriStar, and got the movie approved. It went up and down, up and down. Once we got the movie approved, we had to go to Notre Dame. Now, Notre Dame, God bless them, the tougher they were, the better the movie got. They did not want to hear about this project, nor did they want me to walk on campus and talk about this project. So the athletic department asked me very nicely, professionally, never to talk about the project again. If we catch you talking about it around our athletes and everyone, we'll bar you from this university. So I didn't talk about it anymore until I get the approval from TriStar. Then I walked in to the provost at Notre Dame and told him what we had. And by the weekend, we had the movie approved. That's the long short of it. That makes sense. So
Wow.
it took 10 years, a lot of ups and downs.
Here's what's fascinating about this, Rudy, though. As I'm listening to you tell this story, you know,
Yeah.
you never even took no for an answer during the getting the film made. The story of getting the film made mirrors the actual story of the actual film, which is kind of crazy.
Well, it's actually better than the movie. Making the movie.
Hey, maybe that'll be the sequel. Maybe you got a sequel on your hands there. Who knows?
Well, that's why the Rudy and concerts work and the Dream Big on Broadway work, because all those elements are tied into that, and that's why the documentary work, because they see everything that they need to see how the journey works and why it works, and ups and downs. And everybody has a Rudy in them somewhere, somehow.
Yeah,
they had struggles they had to overcome. That's why this works.
That's why I was going to say that's why it works so well. Well, now I want to watch the Amazon thing, so I don't want you to ruin it for me.
Yeah, you'll like that. I'm not going to tell you about it, but watch it. You'll be surprised.
But give me your impressions now, because how involved were you in the filmmaking process, and when it was all done? Was it accurate? Were you happy with it all once you saw the movie?
Well, you understand. I had to understand that I had to give them the creative integrity that they would make this work. And with Notre Dame involved, they wanted it as close to the journey as you can, because nothing can be perfect, but they wanted it as close as you can. So I had to really be there with the team. Also, I casted Sean Astin. I found Sean Astin through a movie called Memphis Belle. So I was part of all that and all instrumental in picking some of the actors. So it was cool. They allowed me to do that because it made sense, and they understood how important it was, and they believed in me, and I believed in them. So we worked as a good team.
hopefully you're not going to get some of my next couple of questions here, but maybe you have. I don't know.
Go ahead.
You and your film are responsible for perhaps some of the greatest actors and filmmakers of all time. My absolute favorites from day one with Swingers, Vince Vaughn and John Favreau.
Yeah,
they met on your movie.
Because John Favreau was his first movie, and Vince Vaughn, John had a big part in the movie Rudy, and we casted him right out of Chicago, Second City. They were improv guys. So they were very important. And John was very, 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 him and Vince Vaughn were very, very involved in how a film was made and how it was produced. So they got to have the experience. They met the producers on our set. Also, that helped them develop Hoosiers and put Swingers where it should be. So, and now Favreau's one of the top directors of all time in Hollywood. My goodness, he's huge. I think his film's coming out in July, Lion King. I believe it's coming out in July.
Yeah.
And, Aladdin too. So he did the Marvel series and the Iron Man series. So he's really, really a good guy. And he doesn't forget where he came from. Let me put it that way. So
does he send you a fruit basket every year? He should. He really should.
But he should, but he doesn't. But that's okay. But he always compliments, very positive when they interview him. They ask him about Rudy, compliments. So that's good.
All right, that's cool. The other thing, because again, I'm such a fan of the film. I love the movie so much, and it's gotten all its accolades. But I love when it gets recreated elsewhere. So I was a big fan of Newsroom, and I was watching that series. And sure enough, one of the episodes, the main character explains the point of your movie, and then the episode winds up taking on the persona of Rudy. So much so. Have you seen this? Have you seen this episode of Newsroom?
No. What?
Oh my God, are you serious? See, Rudy, I was hoping to get something that you've never talked about, and now we have, and I'm so happy.
Oh my God.
I'll begin by saying that Will cries when he watches the movie Rudy.
The Jersey Saint?
Yes.
Everybody cries at the Jersey Saint.
Jim.
I never saw it.
You haven't seen Rudy? What were you doing when everyone else your age was living their lives?
So the Jeff Daniels is an anchor, and he's basically going through this process, and at one point he has to pay for somebody to get out of some trouble that they're in because they're investigating some terrorist thing or whatever it was.
Yeah.
And towards the end, he brings up Rudy in the beginning of the episode. I'm like, oh, how cool is that? But at the end of the episode, everybody in the newsroom, everybody else who works there, comes into his office and puts a check down on his desk, similar to the Jersey scene.
Oh, yeah. I love it. I have to research that for sure. Oh my gosh, that's awesome.
Yeah, research and check it out. It is when it happens, I'm like, oh my, you don't even realize they kind of sucker you in that you're watching the underdog story throughout this whole episode.
Right.
And when they do that, it was like the conclusion of it all. So just your influence is still coming through television today, which is awesome.
Well, yeah, it's also in the military too that I'm finding out through the Navy SEALs and also too what the Green Berets, they use the message of the heart because, they eliminate fear and because they get the message out of the movie by eliminate fear. And they said, be a Rudy. And I didn't know that until I met people that were in the Green Berets and also also the Navy SEALs. They use that in their training, which is cool.
What is it about? Like, is it your family, your heritage? What do you think it is that?
I don't know. I grew up blue collar, and and I was a dreamer, of course, and I always thought out of the box. And they were more protective because my dad was a union guy, 9 to 5, middle shift, night shift, and he ended up in the auto refineries. And it's a good job to have a union job. And you could have a secure family, and there's nothing wrong with that. That's not what I wanted.
That's amazing. All right, this is absolutely perfect for Father's Day. Perfect for anybody who's in a tough spot or who's an entrepreneur struggling to get a business off the ground or this reaches any sort of person who's ever faced any sort of adversity. This is going to be good for. So I'm looking forward to Sunday, Rudy. I appreciate you giving us some time this morning. This was a pleasure to talk to you. Absolutely a pleasure.
Thanks. God bless you. Bye-bye.
All right, man. Have a good one. There he goes. Rudy from the movie. That was cool. That was cool to talk to the guy. I think that show is going to be a lot of fun at the West Hampton Beach Performing Arts Center. Rudy Ruettiger, the walk-on, coming to Amazon Prime. He let us know that little nugget. That's going to be fun to watch. But always great to see this sort of thing live. June 16th, Father's Day. Perfect for the dads out there. An afternoon with Rudy at the West Hampton Beach Performing Arts Center. Get tickets and more info at whbpac.org. He's the man responsible for Inspiration and Swingers and Made and essentially Lion King, the remake. You could literally put that. I don't know if Favreau would be where he is today without being in Rudy and meeting Vince Vaughn and starting that whole trajectory. Fun conversation with Daniel Rudy Ruettiger right here on The Morning Show with Anthony.